As I said in the beginning, there's a concerted effort to suppress the teaching of certain types of history in school, history of slavery, civil rights movement, different aspects of African American history, etc. And this is part of Project 2025 to attack diversity, equity, and inclusion, to dismantle the Department of Education. Chapter 18 deals with dismantling the Department of Education. I've actually been on some panels recently talking about Project 2025. So there was on October 18th, 2024, Donald Trump was on Fox and Friends, okay? And he's talking about dismantling the Department of Education. I'm going to show you this clip because I put together a video dealing with this. And it's important for people to understand Project 2025 is let me just show you this here, and I'm going to show you this clip, okay? It's from the Heritage Foundation, okay? I was talking about Project 2025 in 2023 because I found out about it in September, at least by September 2023 on Ali Velsh's show on MSNBC, okay? And then I went back and looked, and I saw some clips going back even to August of them talking about Project 2025. I saw those as well. But I definitely remember September 2023. And he was talking about the Heritage Foundation. I already knew about the Heritage Foundation and Paul Weyrich, who co-founded the Heritage Foundation in 1973. He founded the Heritage Foundation in 1973. But Project 2025 is called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. It was released in April 2023 by the Heritage Foundation, okay? For a lot of people, this was the first that they heard about the Heritage Foundation. And this was the first that they heard about Mandate for Leadership. The Heritage Foundation has been issuing Mandate for Leadership going back to 1981. Now, this website is from the Heritage Foundation. Just so you know, you can scroll all the way to down to the bottom at project2025.org. It tells you copyright the Heritage Foundation 2023-2024. Okay. So the Heritage Foundation has been issuing their Mandate for Leadership going back to 1981 and for the Reagan administration. And they talk about how the Reagan administration adopted 64% of the policies that they of the policy proposals that they made. That is on page, I think, 885 of Project 2025. And let me switch over, because when you go to this website, you can actually download a PDF of Project 2025. You can download the full, it's a PDF of the full 922 pages. And let me find something here, because I have the PDF here. I want to show you this here. I want the full thing though. What happened was the Reagan administration adopted 60% of the policies from Project 2025, from Mandate for Leadership in Reagan's first term. And let's see here. If we look at this article from the Heritage Foundation's website, heritage.org, and I'm going to actually pull up Project 2025 here. Hold on. I'm going to pull up the actual PDF. All right. Let's look at this article here, because Project 2025 is also a backlash to the racial reckoning that took place in America after the killing of George Floyd. And you have the attack on critical race theory, attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, things like this. All of this is connected. If we look at this here, this is from the Heritage Foundation's website, heritage.org. Reagan and Heritage, a unique partnership. This is from June 7th, 2004. June 7th, 2004. In here, it talks about the partnership in 1980. The partnership began in 1980. Ronald Reagan and the Heritage Foundation. It's hard to tell the story of one without much of the others. Heritage was President Reagan's favorite think tank, and Reagan was the embodiment of the ideas and principles Heritage holds dear. The partnership began in 1980 when Heritage provided the president-elect's transition team with detailed policy prescriptions on everything from taxes and regulation to trade and national defense. The published version of these recommendations, the 1,100-page Mandate for Leadership, was described by United Press International back then as, quote, a blueprint for grabbing the government by its frayed New Deal lapels and shaking out 48 years of liberal policy, end quote. The Heritage Foundation has been putting out their policy platform called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, for over 40 years, going back to 1981. Project 2025 is the latest version of Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Now, a lot of people found out, especially a lot of African Americans found out about this in July 2024, went to Taraji P. Henson, talked about it at the BET Awards and told everybody to look it up, Google it. That night, Project 2025 searches were trending on Google. But the Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank founded in 1973 by Paul Weyrich, has been crafting policy for Republican administrations for over 40 years. So anybody that thinks there's no coordination between the Trump administration, in the first Trump administration, the Trump transition team, and the 140 people who worked in the Trump administration who helped write Project 2025, as well as Donald Trump. He didn't write Project 2025, but he knows about it. He knows about their policies. Anybody thinks he's ignorant of this and doesn't know anything about it is stupid. Either stupid or ignorant, one of them. Because the evidence is there. In 2017, Donald Trump spoke at a Heritage Foundation conference. And I'm going to show you some more evidence here in just a minute, because, see, your understanding of politics is directly related to your understanding of history. So the Heritage Foundation is telling you what they did in the Trump administration. The new president, in the Reagan administration, they tell you about the Trump administration also. The new president used Mandate to help realize his vision of a world free of communism, an economy that didn't crush people's dreams with high taxes and regulations, and an America that would that and an America the world could admire once again. He gave copies to every member of his cabinet, talking about Ronald Reagan, because they printed it. I know Vice President Kamala Harris and other people say, can you believe that they wrote this down? Yes, they've been writing it down for over 40 years. The result, nearly 2/3 of mandates for leadership, 2,000 recommendations were adopted by the Reagan administration. Okay, nearly 2/3. You're talking about right about 64%. Because in one part of Project 2025, they tell you 64% of the 2,000 policy recommendations from the Heritage Foundation and Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, were adopted by the Reagan administration in Reagan's first term in office. A conservative commentator, William F. Buckley Jr., put it, the foundation had a great hour when Ronald Reagan was elected president and found waiting for him 3 volumes of heritage material designed to help him chart the nation's course in the right direction. It was really the wrong direction. 60% of the suggestions enjoined on the new president were acted upon, which is why Mr. Reagan's tenure was 60% successful, end quote, William F. Buckley said. Now, nobody said that Ronald Reagan wrote Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. In his second term, Ronald Reagan turned again to the Heritage Foundation for ideas and adopted many of them. He recited 22 specific proposals from Mandate for Leadership 2 in his second inaugural address in 1985, prompting the New York Times to say, quote, while the wording of the president's speech and the foundation's document were different, many of the proposals were strikingly similar. It's the same thing between Project 2025 and Donald Trump's Agenda 47. Many of the proposals are strikingly similar. Nobody said Ronald Reagan wrote Mandate for Leadership 2, but he adopted many of those policies. He adopted in his first term, about 64% of those policies. Okay, so read the rest of this here. This is for all the people that don't understand this background history. And then they give you a timeline of history and coordination between Ronald Reagan and the Heritage Foundation. This is at the Heritage Foundation's website. This is from June 7th, 2004. This article is from 20 years ago. Reagan and Heritage, a unique partnership. Some people may call it a partnership made in hell. You know, we won't go as far as to say something like that. Now, let me show you something else here. I want to show you this piece here. Where is that? This deals with Trump and Project 2025. Where is that? Hold on. I thought I had that. Hold on, let me find this. I thought I had it here with the other ones. This one deals with how in 2018, it talks about Trump adopting policies from the Heritage Foundation. Hold on. Where is that? Thought I had it here with my Heritage Foundation articles. This is it. So I want to show this to you. Hold on, I'm gonna have to pull up a different one. What to know about the blueprint? It is Heritage. What is that? Hold on, let me find it a different way. Here is Project 2025. So this is the actual, you can download the PDF from the Heritage Foundation. This is what I'm looking for right here. And you see it's called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, just like the other versions that they've been doing for over 40 years are called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. All right, now I want to go here. I think it's page 885. Okay, so this is from January 23rd, 2018. Okay. From the Heritage Foundation. This is at heritage.org. January 23rd, 2018. So this is during the Trump administration. It's called Trump Administration Embraces Heritage Foundation Policy Recommendations. And there's Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump speaking at a President's Club meeting of the Heritage Foundation in 2017. So he can't say he doesn't know who they are. In this article here from the Heritage Foundation's own website, it tells you 1 year after taking office, President Donald Trump and his administration have embraced nearly 2/3 of the policy recommendations from the Heritage Foundation's Mandate for Leadership. Okay, just look at this. Now, he said he don't know who they are. He knows nothing about Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, Project 2025. Is he pleading ignorance of Mandate for Leadership in 2017 and 2018? Because Project 2025 is not something new. It's a continuation of what the Heritage Foundation has been doing for 40 years, and a continuation of their policy agenda that they publish each election cycle, called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Okay, people act like this is just something like brand new that fell out the sky. No, you don't understand the history behind this. The Mandate for Leadership series includes 5 individual publications totaling approximately 334 unique policy recommendations. Now, this is in 2018, during the Trump administration. Analysis completed by Heritage Foundation determined that 64% of the policy prescriptions were included in Trump's budget, implemented through regulatory guidance, or under consideration for action in accordance with the Heritage Foundation's original proposals. Now, are we supposed to believe that's all a coincidence and he don't know nobody? He knows nothing. This is in 2018. They're telling you what happened in 2017. The Heritage Foundation, at their own website, the same people who put up Project 2025, which is called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, they're telling you what they did in 2017 with the Trump administration. Analysis completed by Heritage Foundation determined that 64% of the policy prescriptions were included in Trump's budget, implemented through regulatory guidance, or under consideration for action in accordance with the Heritage Foundation's original proposals. Okay, now check this out. Quote, President Trump had an extraordinary successful first year. They're talking about 2017. Says Thomas Binion, Director of Congressional and Executive Branch Relations at the Heritage Foundation. Quote, he put a conservative on the Supreme Court, and he enacted historic pro-growth tax reform. They're talking about the $2 trillion tax cut for the millionaires and billionaires, and 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. That's what he's talking about. This analysis demonstrates the lesser-known policy success that his administration has been fighting hard to enact, end quote. They got this clip here from Fox News, okay, Fox Business. Thomas Binion discusses how Trump, let's see, what the hell? Let's just show this. Because a lot of people don't understand what's been happening the past 40 years. And your understanding of politics is directly related to your understanding of history. And I've heard a number of people that sent me messages on social media and all this stuff. Trump don't have nothing to do with the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 and things like this. 140. Let me show you something here. I got a ton. Keep in mind, I was talking about Project 2025 and 2023 before a lot of the people out here talking about it now knew about it. Okay. I was talking about before it became huge on MSNBC and CNN and the Schedule F employees. The change with the Schedule F employees, I found out about that in July 2022 from Jonathan Swan's article from Axios.com. And that was before people started talking about that as well. So when I was speaking to the National Association of Black Counselors, I referenced this article from July 23rd, 2022 by Jonathan Swan. I'll show you that in just a minute here. Let's see. Let me look at, I want to show you this piece from CNN, just so you understand. We can put this in context. Donald Trump claims not to know who's behind Project 2025, right? Just like he said he didn't know who David Duke was, the Ku Klux Klan leader. He said he didn't know who David Duke was. Remember that? And then video came out of him years before talking about David Duke. This is a good article from CNN.com. Trump claims not to know who is behind Project 2025. A CNN review found at least 140 people who worked for him are involved. A CNN review found at least 140 people who worked for him are involved. Now, this is from July 11, 2024. So all these people around him know about Project 2025, but he's ignorant. He knows absolutely nothing. Don't know who the Heritage Foundation is. I don't have anything to do with them. I have nothing to do with Project 2025. People that worked in your administration, at least 140, from Dr. Ben Carson to Tom Homan, who headed up the Homeland Security, to Russell Vought, who headed up the Office of Management and Budget, to Ken Cuccinelli. You got all these people that work for you are involved in writing this, but you don't know nothing. 6 of his former cabinet secretaries helped write or collaborated on the 900-page playbook for a second Trump term published by the Heritage Foundation. 4 individuals Trump nominated as ambassadors were also involved, along with several enforcers of his controversial immigration crackdown. And about 20 pages are credited to his first deputy chief of staff. In fact, at least 140 people who worked with the Trump administration had a hand in Project 2025, a CNN review found, including more than half of the people listed as authors, editors, and contributors to Mandate for Leadership, the project's extensive manifesto for overhauling the executive branch. Dozens more who staff Trump's government hold positions with conservative groups advising Project 2025, including his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and longtime advisor, Stephen Miller. These groups also include several lawyers deeply involved in Trump's attempts to remain in power, such as his impeachment attorney, Jay Sekulow, and 2 of the legal architects of his failed bid to overturn the 2020 presidential election, Cleta Mitchell and John Eastman. Now, all these people are involved, but he don't know nothing. To quantify the scope of the involvement from Trump's orbit, CNN reviewed online biographies, LinkedIn profiles, and news clippings for more than 1,000 people listed on published directories for the 110 organizations on Project 2025's advisory board, as well as the 200 plus names credited with working on Mandate for Leadership. Overall, CNN found nearly 240 people with ties to Project 2025 and to Donald Trump, covering nearly every aspect of his time in politics and the White House, from day-to-day foot soldiers in Washington to the highest levels of his government. The number is likely higher because many individuals' online resumes were not available. Read the rest of this here. Okay, read the rest of this. Trump claims not to know who is behind Project 2025. A CNN review found at least 140 people who work for him are involved. All right, now I want to go back to this. I want to show this video here from, I said I would show you this video from Fox Business here. Let's go. And okay, let's go to this.
Year in office than Ronald Reagan did in his first year with respect to conservative agenda. In fact, the conservative group made this determination based on its own agenda of policy recommendations, of which President Trump embraced 64%. President Reagan embraced only 49%. So has President Trump become the new gold standard of conservatism? With me now to discuss Madison Jesse Otto, Washington Times columnist, also National Coalition for Trump advisor, and Tommy Binion, Heritage Foundation, Congressional and Executive Branch Relations Director. Tommy, so Heritage Foundation has the Mandate for Leadership, 5 individual publications, 334 unique policy recommendations, and President Trump took up 64% of them in his budget. Does that make him the new gold standard of conservatism?
Absolutely. President Trump is a conservative president. And also, this analysis shows that he's a very active president. He's adopted many of these recommendations and pushed them forward and accomplished many of them. It's things like the Paris climate change agreement. It's things like repealing Barack Obama's net neutrality regulations. Those types of things, these are sort of under-the-radar accomplishments, under-the-radar policies that he's pursued. And yes, they're conservative, and yes, they're good for the country, and this analysis gives him credit for that.
You know, Madison, and a lot of the things that we have on the list there really angered the left progressives in the mainstream media, getting out of the Paris Climate Accord, repealing net neutrality. President Trump took a lot of heat of those.
Yeah, you know, Charles, what an incredible year for conservatives, and I imagine that we're going to have 3 to 7 more incredible years under President Trump. You know, a lot of people looking back were on the fence, conservatives specifically, concerned about some of the things that he said, but you cannot judge him by what he said, but by what he does. He's always been someone that planned to back up his words with actions. That's exactly what he did. We look at the Supreme Court. That's why a lot of people end up coming over the fence, jumping to the side and voting for him. And when he's talking about making an impact long term, let's look at the federal district courts and let's look at at the federal appellate courts. I mean, this is places where he's going to have an effect long after his presidency is over in the world of conservatism.
Madison, do you think then that ultimately people should say, hey, forget about the rhetoric and the occasional tweet that may be distasteful, if you will, and look at the achievements and the direction we're going? That ultimately is what matters?
Oh, absolutely, because guess what? These words and silly tweets that people agree or disagree on and bicker about aren't going to affect people's lives, but these policies and these decisions that he's making in the Oval Office are going to affect our lives not only now, like I said, but for decades to come. And so I think that's what people need to keep in mind, and I think that's what they will keep in mind when we go to the midterms in 2018 and we look at back, you know, to 2016. They were on the fence hoping this would happen, and it did happen. So I think they're going to do that in 2018 and 2020 as well.
Tommy, I know it's a badge of honor, but some people may say approximately 70 former Heritage employees either work for the Trump transition team or are now part of the administration. Is that too much influence by one particular organization?
No, I don't think so. That's absolutely a strategy of the Heritage Foundation to better the country. The individuals, the researchers, the smart people here at the Heritage Foundation have a passion for this country. They're patriots, and they went to work in the administration to make the country a better place. I don't think that's a knock against Heritage or too much influence at all. And yes, it's those 70 individuals and the president and the rest of his administration that enacted and adopted these policies. Right. And we believe the reason we work here, the reason we work so hard on these policies is because we believe that ultimately they're going to deliver a better America for the American people.
Quickly, before I let you go, Tommy, is there one of the items that ranks high that wasn't adopted that you'd like to still see implemented? I know there's a lot of them, but the one that maybe sticks out the most to you.
Repeal and replace Obamacare. It's got to go. Health care is too expensive. That depends on the Congress. The president's leading on it, but it's got to happen.
Thank you both very, very much. Appreciate it. President Trump.
All right. So, and once again, the Heritage Foundation wants to repeal and replace the Affordable Health Care Act. Donald Trump has nothing to replace it with. He has a concept of a plan. Okay. These are policies coming from the Heritage Foundation. Now that clip that I just showed you, that clip is from 2018. And let me go to it. Okay, so that is from January 25th, 2018. Right here. That's on the Heritage Foundation's website. I mean, their YouTube channel right here. So the name of that clip, Tommy Binion, B-I-N-I-O-N, discusses how Trump has embraced 64% of Heritage policy recommendations on Fox Business. Okay. That's at Heritage Response Room, one of the YouTube channels. And that is from January 25th, 2018. So they're showing you the coordination between the Heritage Foundation and the Trump administration adopting 64% of the policy recommendations from Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Okay. Now, Project 2025, as I've said, that's just the latest version of Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Now, I want to go back to that article here. This one right here from January 23rd, 2018, from the Heritage Foundation's website. Trump administration embraces Heritage Foundation policy recommendations. January 23rd, 2018, right? And they're talking about what happened during the first year of the Trump administration. Now, if you scroll down past the video, it says Heritage Foundation research analysts began developing the policy recommendations in 2016 during the presidential campaign with the following principles in mind: free enterprise, limited government, individual freedom, traditional American values, and a strong national defense. I'm not sure what traditional American values they're talking about. I mean, this is a guy who had sex with a porn star, cheated on all his wives, committed business fraud, committed sexual assault. What? And then later, you know, he incited the coup January the 6th, and his supporters assaulted over 140 police officers. I'm not sure what American values, traditional American values, they're talking about. But it goes on to say, with approximately 70 former Heritage Foundation employees working for the Trump transition team or as part of the Trump administration, the policy recommendations coming from Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, have served as guidelines for reducing the size and scope of the federal government through specific and detailed actions. Okay, so then it goes on to say the first Mandate for Leadership was released in January 1981, containing policy proposals of reform that would make government more efficient and effective. President Ronald Reagan distributed Heritage's book at his first cabinet meeting. Quote, as President Biden did in the 1980s, Tom Binion said, President Trump has embraced the comprehensive recommendations made in the Mandate for Leadership. These achievements have led to economic growth, a stronger national defense, and a restoration of the rule of law. So Project 2025 is called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Trump knows about Mandate for Leadership, the one during his presidency. He's ignorant of this one, and it's from the same people. And at least 140 people that work for him wrote it. Over the past several months, now keep in mind, this article is from January 2018. Over the past several months, Heritage Foundation's executive branch relations staff reviewed the 334 policy recommendations and met with senior administration officials in the several agencies. Heritage analysts briefed administration officials on the recommendations, provided additional insight and information, and advocated for reform. Okay, but he knows nothing. And it goes through and shows some things that the Heritage Foundation got enacted from Mandate for Leadership under the Trump administration. Now, as President Obama said on the campaign trail, the fond economy that people remember was actually the Obama-Biden economy, because they saved the economy, brought us out of the recession, created 11.3 million jobs. They handed over a healthy economy to Donald Trump, 75 consecutive straight months of private sector job growth under Obama-Biden. They handed over a 4.7% unemployment to Donald Trump, and the employment rate kept going down. But it wasn't something that Trump did. He didn't create that economy. That was Obama-Biden that did that, starting out with the American Recovery Act in 2009, which was an $831 billion bill that had stimulus checks in there. Obama didn't put his signature on the stimulus checks. It jump-started the economy and created 10 years of private sector job growth. And under President Obama, you had 75 consecutive months of private sector job growth. So research that. All this history is connected. Your understanding of politics is directly related to your understanding of history. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation in the preview of this class. How you all like this type of information? We left off talking about Dr. David Imhotep, but then got into this discussion here because this deals with history as well. Be sure to register for my new online history course. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This class is on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to start Saturday, August 6th, 2025. Go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and scroll down. This is African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. This is a 10-week online course. We're actually going to start on Saturday, September 6th. Click right here to register. Classes on sale, $80. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And one of the things we'll talk about are various African empires, whether we talk about ancient Nubia or the Kush Empire, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, Great Zimbabwe, Carthage, the Nok culture. We're going Meroe, Axum. We're going through and looking at history, thousands of years of history, various African empires, and then also we'll deal with the transatlantic slave trade and how it evolved. So we'll look at history from 5000 BC through 1800 AD. You'll get 5 of my lectures in digital download format free with this. And then also be sure to download our class lesson plan here as well. Click on the download button to download our class lesson plan. And visit my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Our social media handles are here as well. And you can email me through the website. Just click on contact the African History Network. So this class is PG-13. You can use this content with your children. Also, I don't do a lot of cursing or anything like that. It's very visual. There are 80 to 100 articles that we reference in the class. I show you the articles on the screen. The 15 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books. We show you the books we show you the pages of the books on the screen as well. And there are 200 slides in the class also. Okay. So I have a PowerPoint presentation, the video clips that we show, excerpts of interviews I've done with some of our historians. I've been teaching this class on and off since 2017. So it has evolved immensely since then. Also, you can support the African History Network through PayPal and Cash App. We have the information right on the homepage of my website. If you scroll down, $ the AHN show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. This is our Cash App. Tag $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it'll say Michael and show my picture there. Okay, these are some fake African History Network Cash App accounts that have been stealing money from us. And I put our tag right here. Here's our link to our Cash App, QR code. Okay, so you can support us there if you want to donate support us $5, $10, $15, $25, $50, $100, whatever it is. It definitely helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, and broadcast the Sunday night show also. And here's our link for PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. All right. So look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. We're kind of forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. Okay. So I talked about how Donald Trump said he would shut down the Department of Education. He said this on Fox and Friends. Okay, I want to go to this clip here to show you how elections have consequences. And Chapter 18 of Project 2025 deals with dismantling the Department of Education, which was created by President Jimmy Carter in 1979. So let me go to this clip. This is from a video I put together of this. Let's go to this here. So Donald Trump was on Fox and Friends Friday, October 18th, 2024. And he talked about a policy platform in a second Trump administration that is talked about in Project 2025. Here's what he had to say.
Anything to do with school choice, but also separate from school choice, we're going to take the Department of Education, close it. I'm going to close it. We'll have one person, could be you if you decide to retire.
Okay, Mr. President, here's what bothers me about that. So let's say you have a liberal city, let's say it's Los Angeles, San Diego, and they just decide we're going to get rid of that history. We got new history. This is America built off the backs of slaves on stolen land. And that curriculum comes in.
Then we don't send them money. We would save half of our budget.
Okay.
Hold on. Donald Trump said we won't send them money if they teach that this country was built on the backs of slaves. Hold on. He couldn't have said that. All these black men talking about voting for Donald Trump. All these rappers talking about voting for Donald Trump. Wait a second. He couldn't have said that. Let's play that again. This is from Fox and Friends. Whose friend are they?
It's not anything to do with school choice, but also separate from school choice. We're going to take the Department of Education, close it. I'm going to close it. We'll have one person, could be you if you decide to retire.
Okay, Mr. President, here's what bothers me about that. So let's say you have a liberal city, let's say it's Los Angeles, San Diego, and they just decide we're going to get rid of that history. We got new history. This is America built off the backs of slaves on stolen land. And that curriculum comes in.
Then we don't send them money. We would save half of our budget.
Okay.
He said we don't send the money. Brian Kilmeade said, what happens if they get rid of history and start teaching that the country was built on the backs of slaves on stolen land? That's called history. That's what happened. That's for real. Now, Common Dreams has an article about this. And okay, so you can watch the rest of that video that I put together dealing with that. That's at our YouTube channel. Trump threatens to dismantle Department of Education policy of Project 2025, teaching about slavery. That is a key policy from Project 2025. Okay. And we see this attack on history right now at the MAGA summit, at the MAGA rally at Madison Square Garden Sunday, October 27th, 2024, where the comedian made his comments about Puerto Rico being an island of trash floating, however he put it. And he had all these crazy people. Dr. Phil that was there speaking, and all these crazy MAGA supporters speaking at the rally. Dr. Phil, who, and I posted about this on Facebook. I posted the video, and I said, Oprah, come get your boy. I want you to see this here. Once again, this is dealing with the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is dealing with the attack on history also, and the teaching of history. Okay, so Dr. Let me flip over to this here. I posted this on my Instagram page and on Facebook. Here's what Dr. Phil said. He said this country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI.
This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI. This country was built on hard work, and it needs to continue to be built on hard work. This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI. This country was built on hard work, and it needs to continue to be built on hard work. This country was built on.
All right. So let me stop that. All right. So if you look here, I posted, and make sure I show you this here. In the video that I posted, I put the caption, does the hard work you refer to include slavery, or are you excluding 246 years of free labor? Because if the common denominator for success in America was hard work, then who worked harder than a slave for 246 years? If the common denominator for being successful in America was hard work, then African Americans would be the most successful people in the history of this country. And being that I zoomed in on it here, let me play that clip again for you. All right, so here's Dr. Phil at the MAGA Madison Square Garden rally from Sunday, October 27th, 2024, talking about hard work and attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Not on DEI.
Let me back this up.
This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome. Not on DEI. This country was built on hard work, and it needs to continue to be built on hard work. This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome. Not on DEI. This country was built on hard work, and it needs to continue to be built on hard work. This country was built on hard work.
So this hard work that you talk about, right? Because we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Does that include the 246 years of slavery and free labor? Does that include all of that? Or are you skipping over that? Because if the common denominator for hard work in this country and the common denominator for success in this country was hard work, then nobody would be more successful than African Americans. Because who worked harder than the slave for 246 years? So I find it interesting when they want to talk about hard work, right? But they don't want to deal with a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race, because that's what racism is, as I said a little while ago. There were at least 262 skills, trades, and crafts that African people had in this country from 1619 to 1865. And these are skills that were used to build this country. You had, now this comes from the book, The Other Slaves, Mechanics, Artisans, and Craftsmen, 1978 by James Newton and Ronald Lewis. And we were anchor makers, artists, bakers, barrel makers, bartenders, basket makers, beer makers, blacksmiths, bricklayers, brick makers, engineers, hemp baggers, herb doctors, horse trainers, carpenters, coppersmiths, locksmiths, hunters, horse trainers, etc. We were jockeys for horse jockeys for the horses that some of our ancestors, slave owners, owned. So I just find it interesting when people want to talk about hard work and merit and things like that, but then want to ignore our ancestors who built a lot of this country. Now, yeah, you had immigrants who came in and contributed as well, but our ancestors were here before most of that even happened. And I'm not saying you didn't have, there were white immigrants coming in who were poor and destitute and worked hard and worked in factories. I understand that history. Even before 1894, the Pullman workers' strike of 1894, which is going to lead to the federal holiday of Labor Day. Okay. And that's going to really jumpstart the whole labor movement. But you go back to 1866 when the National Labor Union is created. Right after slavery ends, you're going to have large labor unions that are created largely to protect jobs for white men and white immigrants coming to this country and lock African Americans out of these jobs that we have been doing largely for free for 246 years because we were the ones who had the skills. Be sure to register for my new online history course. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This class is on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to start Saturday, August 6th, 2025. Go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and scroll down. This is African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. This is a 10-week online course. We're actually going to start on Saturday, September 6th. Click right here to register. Classes on sale, $80. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And one of the things we'll talk about are various African empires, whether we talk about ancient Nubia or the Kush Empire, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, Great Zimbabwe, Carthage, the Nok culture. We're going Meroe, Axum. We're going through and looking at history, thousands of years of history, various African empires, and then also we'll deal with the transatlantic slave trade and how it evolved. So we'll look at history from 5000 BC through 1800 AD. You'll get 5 of my lectures in digital download format free with this. And then also be sure to download our class lesson plan here as well. Click on the download button to download our class lesson plan. And visit my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Our social media handles are here as well. And you can email me through the website. Just click on contact the African History Network. So this class is PG-13. You can use this content with your children. Also, I don't do a lot of cursing or anything like that. It's very visual. There are 80 to 100 articles that we reference in the class. I show you the articles on the screen. The 15 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books. We show you the books we show you the pages of the books on the screen as well. And there are 200 slides in the class also. Okay. So I have a PowerPoint presentation, the video clips that we show, excerpts of interviews I've done with some of our historians. I've been teaching this class on and off since 2017. So it has evolved immensely since then. Also, you can support the African History Network through PayPal and Cash App. We have the information right on the homepage of my website. If you scroll down, $ the AHN show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. This is our Cash App. Tag $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it'll say Michael and show my picture there. Okay, these are some fake African History Network Cash App accounts that have been stealing money from us. And I put our tag right here. Here's our link to our Cash App, QR code. Okay, so you can support us there if you want to donate support us $5, $10, $15, $25, $50, $100, whatever it is. It definitely helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, and broadcast the Sunday night show also. And here's our link for PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. All right. So look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct your own behavior.